Good afternoon, good morning. It's Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. Want to welcome you to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we speak with leading agencies, technology partners, and consultants in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends and best practices that impact a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, enhance engagement, but most importantly, impact customer loyalty. Today's focus is going to likely shape the customer loyalty industry in 2024 and beyond. And we have the pleasure of speaking with Tom Madden, who's the Executive Vice President, and Katie Berndt, who's the Vice President of Strategy, Research, and Insights at Phaedon, about the challenges and opportunities they are seeing in the year ahead. Welcome both Tom and Katie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice seeing you as always. Nice meeting you, Katie. Thank you very much. First off, for those who may not be familiar, can you give us a brief overview of Phaedon, how Phaedon works with brands, I should say, in conjunction with brands to help them enhance their customer experiences and loyalty?
Absolutely, because that's the best part of the day. Phaedon helps, we help our clients move their customers towards becoming true advocates for their brand and their business. And it starts with awareness and understanding, acquiring new customers, engaging with them in meaningful ways, and ultimately driving them to be loyal customers. We work with them specifically to help design, or more oftenly, as the case is today, redesign their loyalty or CRM programs with leading strategies and loyalty-focused analytics that come out of Katie's team and another team in our business. And additionally, we help our clients with customer experience. And then finally, we have our proprietary loyalty platform called Tally, which is a recognized leader in loyalty engines, and it actually powers some of the largest and most valuable customer loyalty programs in the world.
Absolutely. When you look at over the last 12 months, we have seen a number of different brands who are looking to improve and revamp their customer loyalty efforts. We talked about that a little bit coming into this call. They're interested in adding functionality, changing program structure, potentially changing the benefits, looking at their customer value proposition. Is this something that you're seeing? And if so, what changes have your clients been focused on?
Yeah, in short, I'll kick this off, and if Katie, you want to add some color, please do. In short, Mark, yes, we are. We're working with our clients to ensure that the value is in the right place for their customers, right? It's one thing to offer something, but if that doesn't mean anything to the members of the program, then it's just going to fall flat. So we're seeing programs adding more benefits through their brands, but also by adding proven external partnerships to extend the value on more of a day-to-day basis, right? So some companies don't have customers transacting with them every day. It might be once in a while. And so how do you continue with the engagement and the value? And that's through partnerships that can help more of the day-to-day interactions.
When you talk about partnerships, are you talking about partnerships with other brands or partnerships with organizations like yourself who have strategy and kind of deep market insight, or is it a combination of both?
So yeah, I mean, when it comes to the program value and the like, it's through external partnerships, other brands, yes, other brands that can bring some additional value to the program as seen by the members.
That's awesome. Okay. What program changes, enhancements do you think brands will be focused most in 2024?
Well, so it's funny because I was thinking about how I was looking at this at the beginning of 2023, and it has evolved some in that I think there's going to be a renewed focus on utility of points, elements of enhancing the experience. So redemption options are expanding outside the existing ecosystem of the brand, and they can use those points to make other purchases or to earn points in other ways. I also think people are getting smarter about getting the most out of their programs, especially with an ongoing threat about the economy and the like. It's just people are getting smarter about it, continue to do so. And so if you think about points as a true currency, it helps you think through things that you can do differently. I will say also, though, it's not just about the loyalty programs themselves, but also about the entire CRM experience. If you look at, just for example, looking at the customer journey helps us identify where we can effectively engage with customers where they need attention. And then Lastly, and you heard me say this before, Mark, as you look at loyalty over a longer period of time, there's always a shiny object. 2 years ago, NFTs were the shiny object, and what nobody's talking about. You don't hear many talking about them anymore. So the more we can help keep brands focused and less pulling out a squirrel, right? the better and more effective we know our clients can be with their programs.
Okay. And Katie, what are you seeing? Any program changes, enhancements you're seeing within your group?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I echo what Tom has said around point utility and adding more partnerships. I also think that CRM is a huge topic that goes hand in hand with loyalty. We've been having a lot more conversations with clients around targeting and personalization, and whether that's at the segment level or tier level, or ultimately striving for those one-to-one interactions, because I think where you can personalize it, right, that's where the relevance starts to ring more true, and you can create more of those meaningful moments, and that's where you're actually having those connections and driving emotional loyalty.
Okay. And how should brands be defining the success and measuring success to their programs when they're looking to make enhancements, Tom?
Well, I think you've got to. There's going to be a sharp eye on liability, right? The liability continues to grow, and brands want to be sure they don't get kind of caught off guard there. So I think there's a whole opportunity about bringing liability down through point utility that we've been talking about. That creates a win-win for both the brand and their books, but as well as the members and the value that they receive for engaging with the brand. People are familiar with programs releveling or reevaluating or revaluing, if there's such a word, their programs. And when it's done poorly, it creates a huge rift and a potential change in loyalty with the brand. But when it's done right, you can add more utility to the points, so members feel like the brand is really looking out for them. It helps increase trust and helps the members feel like they're part of something they want to continue to be part of.
Okay. Interesting. What about you, Katie?
Aside from redemption rate, which kind of gets at that liability question, or what Tom had said about liability, I think incremental lift in enrollments, the active member rate, net sales, frequency, retention rate, these are all kind of the big ones that we hear about and that clients care about most, and that we're helping them actively track and measure. But I do think too that kind of secondarily, but perhaps should be first, is kind of being able to measure that voice of customer. So whether that's through customer satisfaction, net promoter score, social listening, I think keeping a pulse on that is just as important. Typically a secondary metric, but
when you look at VOC, one of the things that we're focused on at Loyalty360, we have a metric study we've worked on with our advisory board to figure out, what kind of an overarching metric could be to compare brands potentially. But the VOC measuring voice of the customer, because it's more of a point in time, opportunity. It's like a balance sheet, right? How should brands be looking at VOC and how do they integrate it? Because listening to and understanding customers is a challenge that we continue to see within the brand community, but understanding what the VOC or whatever the NPS or the other scores could mean to their loyalty efforts it's somewhat of a challenge.
I mean, I do think it is a challenge, but it's something that we're seeing over the last, I would say, 10 years. Clients have made huge investments in, and it's made leaps and bounds improvements on. I do think something like a net promoter score helps you, develop and kind of that benchmark and watch it over time. You can also then target specifically those who are, giving you the poor, detractor type rates, and then knowing where your promoters are is always good, to make sure that, those especially who are your top most active members or clients or customers are the ones that are happiest. I do think that just getting at listening to them will help you no matter what kind of find those gaps in the customer experience and in being able to fix that part of the journey.
I absolutely, Katie. And I think how that can play out a little bit, Mark, is so obviously by understanding what the customers are really asking for, and ultimately working towards Net Promoter Scores and the like. It feeds the strategy, it feeds future changes or future additions, future partnerships that we talked about. It also is, in the case of Tally, it's fed in through the customer care app. So when the call center agents of a particular client are on the phone with a member who's calling about something, some problem that needs to be resolved, is generally the case. They already can see in the app that, okay, this is Mark Johnson. He's actually a really big fan of our program. He participates in it as well. He's very unhappy about the situation. What can we do to fix it, right? So we can continue to keep the engagement with you at a loyal level, rather than create an opportunity to start looking somewhere else. So it plays out in all sorts of aspects of program design and implementation.
Excellent. And you mentioned, as we see, there's a great deal of focus on measuring the efficacy of customer loyalty programs. Katie, you touched on that a little bit. You named a few metrics that our brand should focus on. Can you maybe go through this again and kind of talk about how they should be important?
Sure. I think driving frequency is typically number one KPI as far as, kind of is agnostic of industry, enrollment rates, making sure that you're measuring not only month over month or year over year, but just the incremental, especially when you've made changes to a program. I think enrollment rates by channel is also something to keep a very close eye on, whether that's, for example, a hotel loyalty program that could be online, it could be through an app, it could be while you're staying at the hotel through their Wi-Fi or talking to someone at the front desk, measuring by channel. Revenue is another key one, ROI, right? How much you're taking in and how much you're spending to get those people in. And then I think back to what Tom was saying around redemption rates, I think, where you are getting higher redemption rates from your members, particularly, and being able to attribute that back to members. I think we all know active members spend more, or those of us in the business have come to believe that. So I think kind of keeping track of that, not only on the liability side, but just overall participation in the program. That really is an important metric that you shouldn't be scared of. You want people to redeem and get value out of the program.
Okay. Oh, what are clients asking you in regard to metrics? Are there different metrics they are looking for or asking of you?
We've been talking a lot with our clients about participation as a whole, and that's something, that we believe in. This gets at almost like life cycle targeting and understanding incrementality just based on the promotions that they're doing or modifications that they're making to their program. That could be related to CRM modifications that they're testing and learning, or loyalty program specific. So I think from an analytics perspective, incrementality is one of the most important things. Just trying to understand what levers that you can pull at any given time to drive more impact.
Okay. What new trends have you seen that are top of mind for brands in 23 going to 24? And what innovations are your brands, the clients that you're working with, looking to implement in the new year?
Sure. I can start, and Tom, if you want to add, that would be great. I guess I would say, first of all, I just want to call out that you can't really or shouldn't really react to every trend that you're seeing, just because, it really depends on the maturity of the program and the brand itself. And I think just getting the foundation right is key. But some of the trends that we continue to see are personalization and being able to provide more flexibility and choice. I think it's really important to put your customer at the center of your flywheel, so to speak, and really map and build the experience, whether that's UX, CRM, loyalty benefits, or the functionality of the program. Building that around your customers, and then, letting your customers that are actively participating help you drive the enhancements. I definitely think that being on top of trends is important, but just don't take everything that you're hearing and thinking that it's exactly right for your brand. Similar to what Tom was saying around NFTs, we put together several POVs last year on NFTs. Just knowing we have to know about them, but whether is it something that you just chase and make sure that you have some representation. Some brands did that, and other times it was more of a PR thing. So I think the best thing that you can do to add innovation to your program is really looking across industries. And we find that when we're able to keep a pulse on, let's say, something that a retailer restaurant is doing and bring that to hospitality or vice versa, that kind of inspiration really helps guide additional innovation.
Okay. Excellent. And Tom, for brands on a budget, how can they best incorporate a new trend? Or is there a trend that is budget friendly, is going to have some impactful potentially behavior change or ROI that you see?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, they got to start with their members, right? You got to understand what they're saying. You talked about VOC, voice of customer. This is where it's really important. So, and separately, a consulting mindset, a client will ask for something very specific, but a consultant will come at this and ask more questions to get further understanding, and realizing often is the case that a client is asking for something, but it's not exactly what they really want, and you can't get there without understanding better. It's the same thing here with members. Members might say, "Oh, I love Bored Ape," but then when you ask them about, okay, well, you're sitting on 500,000 points. Are you going to redeem that for Bored Ape NFT? Or are you going to redeem that for a week in Maui or something? And then the reality hits in, right? So I just think understanding what the members truly want and what they're truly asking for is imperative in that.
Okay. When you look at some of the things that your clients are asking for you, retail sales have kind of slowed down, at least in October they did. There's economic concerns, adding more value to the program that can help differentiate their offering. What are you seeing in the market, Tom, and how are you advising your clients?
So, I'm sorry, in the case of differentiating in the market, you're saying?
Yeah, differentiating, but more so, what is he changing in 24? There's a lot of you talk NFTs. That's something they were asking for
Yeah,
year
yeah.
before,
So
right? Things are definitely changing, more fluid. But with regard to the economy, with the U.S. sales and kind of being up, down, kind of hard to have a crystal ball. What are you seeing, and kind of how are you advising your clients now? Maybe going back over the last year.
yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing clients kind of in a couple different areas focusing. One are things they just have to, whether they want to or not, like privacy and things like that are always going to continue no matter what year we're in. But then in terms of truly differentiating, post now that we're a couple of years out of kind of COVID, so I'll call it well past post COVID. Brands have been really doubling down on this, Mark, and how we can differentiate. And I think what they're doing first and foremost is understanding the customers that aren't in their programs today. What does it look like to get them in the program? What would they have to do to be attractive to the customers who aren't participating with their program? And for those in the program, where can they center the value most effectively, right? So if somebody is shopping at a retailer once a year and has the propensity to shop at a retailer once a year, spending a lot of your marketing budget or your rewards budget on that person is probably not the best return on investment. Whereas if somebody's shopping with your brand a couple times a year, but you know that they're shopping somewhere else 50 other times a year, okay, let's double down on this. What do we need to do to get them attracted to us? Give us a try, become aware of what we can bring to the table for them, how we can add value for them, ultimately to move them towards loyalty. And so that's where the efforts are being spent. I think they're looking at different customer or potential customer segments and saying, if we've got $1 to invest, where are we going to get the biggest return on investment for that?
Okay. When you look at the programs, we were talking about this a little bit coming up to as we prepared for this, but there's this belief in sea of sameness. That's something we saw last year, and we're seeing it this year as well, right? That brands want to differentiate their offering both internally from an organizational perspective, but externally to the consumers as well. But it's a significant challenge. Technology, having alignment, some things we've talked about through this, having the ROI, the right customer value proposition. It can be hard to differentiate the customer loyalty from a sea of sameness perspective. What are you seeing that's working, Katie?
Um, I would say simplicity is still a guiding principle,
Okay.
no matter what maturity your program is in. I think when you try to stand out too much, or stand out for the wrong reasons, it can absolutely backfire. So I think, something that we've been talking about is important to know your customer, right? Determine what they want and what they expect, and then work to deliver on that to the highest level possible, in every channel that you interact with them. And, I think that this idea of big L loyalty, so your product, your service, your brand, all help you stand out in that sea of sameness. I think where you can eliminate silos, amongst your team, like we were talking about a bit too, where loyalty programs, it's not just the program, it's how you create loyalty as a whole. So I think too, where you're able to, you're, leveraging the data that you collect through loyalty programs, it helps you
Yep.
stand out. CRM, UX, and the personalization, just activating on it.
Okay. When you look at maybe a mistake or a challenge that brands make regarding their customer loyalty efforts, can you give us maybe one or two that you see and how brands could address that going into 24?
Yeah, I think that, making big changes to your program without doing proper research, is a first mistake, but you have to really be ready to deal with the repercussions. I think Delta Airlines is probably the biggest case study from 2023, when they initially announced those upcoming changes that were coming in 2024 to their Sky Miles program back in September. I mean, this was a prime example of what not to do. They kind of came out saying, hey, we've really simplified it. But then what they did was just sort of create a firestorm for themselves. They were known as this trusted, best in class leader for loyalty. And I think, it really broke the trust. And, from a authenticity standpoint, it just didn't feel right for them because they had typically taken such good care of members. I think most people would expect that you need to change your program over time, and they would understand that. But communication is key in how you roll out changes, and just being able to keep that pulse so you can make small changes and iterate as you go versus massive ones that get the social media storm going against you is difficult. So where you can, I think, investing the time and energy into a fully thought out qual and quant research, before launching anything major is rule number one.
Okay. Tom, you're going to add something?
No, I mean, clearly that's the best case study of the year because they managed, I think, 3 or 4 times throughout the year between their clubs and their tiers, to kind of change and then go back and then change and go back. So it does break the trust, as Katie's talking about. I think if you step up to 5,000 feet for a moment, I think the biggest mistake is when brands aren't looking at a long-term plan, a long-term strategic plan, and then working out their annual objectives and goals, to help get to that plan. When they've got that, and you always have to make adjustments to plans, that's okay. But when you've got that overriding strategic objective you're trying to get to, it just helps keep the noise at bay and it helps keep the shiny objects out where they belong.
Okay. And we talked about this a little bit. There's an interest in rewards incentive that they're changing a little bit, more personalized rewards, using the data more in a stewardly manner, right? And from a content perspective, rewarding for special experiences, surprise and delight, all kinds of unique opportunities out there. Are there some specific experiential rewards that brands have used recently, Katie, that you think that are impactful?
I do think early access or special access, especially for those kind of one-of-a-kind experiences that are hard to come by, that are outside the typical program, or I think we're going to see that more and more. I think what happened this last year with the Taylor Swift Ticketmaster debacle, and luckily I had early access for being a Swiftie fan. So being able to do that, I think you're going to see that more and more as loyalty programs partner and try to go outside of their point utility and outside of, adding those experiential rewards, looking at ways to give special access or, unique access is going to be part of that experiential rewards strategy. So whether that's, partnering with local businesses from a, bringing that experience or supporting each other, whether that's from retail or restaurant or hospitality. I think, there's definitely some of those that we've seen more lately.
Okay, great. When you look at some of the challenges or opportunities you see regarding customer loyalty offerings, Tom, you talked about strategy. Can you give us some examples of what you think the biggest challenges may be with regard to strategy or even technology that brand should be cognizant of and looking to address in 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking of some examples where, well, so, forever we didn't have data. Now we've got tons of data with these programs. And then forever we didn't have good loyalty-focused analytics to try to look at the data in ways that bring out good, actionable insights. We've got that. We've got that now. But we still don't necessarily have the greatest storytelling going on in the industry. So for example, to answer your question more specifically, when a brand is sending out an email every single day to you, and it just becomes noise, right? And you start to ignore it. Even if they said I could have something for free, I'm going to miss it just because I get these all the time. And the day-to-day people sending those emails know that they probably could be more effective doing something else, but their executive team may not understand that and still wants this to continue as is, rather than go with what the data suggests you could do to get a bigger return. So I feel like there's some great strategies coming out of Katie and her team. There's some great analytics and insights from that data coming out of Emily Merkel, who you've met before, and her team. But then how do we help the client tell the story to the executive team so that they can pick the right strategies and not keep doubling down on old strategies that are no longer producing.
Okay, excellent. Kind of a follow-up to that. Internal resource allocation alignment is a big challenge as well. We talked about that a little bit earlier with regard to the difference between the little L, the programmatic loyalty, or the big L from an organizational perspective. Are there any insights you can give to brands who are looking to address internal allocation alignment, making sure to get on the same page, show the value of the program? Is there anything that these loyalty quote unquote leaders that are driving these programs should be cognizant of doing to help increase resource allocation, increase the focus of the program?
Yeah, we're working with a brand that I can't announce until things go live in kind of towards the end of Q1. But this team has been fantastic at bringing all various aspects of their marketing team together throughout the discussions and throughout the process. So while the loyalty team is driving the effort, they're bringing in their media team, they're bringing in their email team, they're bringing in all these other teams that have to understand what's going on, have to understand how they can be a part of this and how they will benefit from this, as well as the loyalty team and the members, obviously. So I think when a chief marketing officer looks at some of these initiatives and realize the effects throughout their organization and can bring those folks in early in partnership, I think you're going to get just a wicked bang when that program goes live. It's going to be such a great thing for members and customers, and it's going to be a great thing for the brand itself.
And then now it's time for our quick fire question segment. We'll do this with Tom. We like to have one word responses or short phrases. Keeps me in good standing with the content team. Don't want to run over. So Tom, what is your favorite word?
I love Merriam-Webster's word of the day. Today's word is raconteur. A person who excels in telling anecdotes. I think that's a great word for the day.
There you go. What is your least favorite word?
Bore, boring, or bored. Any of that I hear I don't like it.
Okay, so then what excites you?
People. Being home alone for a number of years is the antithesis of that. I like people and the energy that comes from it.
Okay. Well, what do you find tiresome?
Being home all day.
Okay.
Being home all day without the people around.
What brand do you think does customer loyalty well?
I think so. You're probably looking for a specific, and I'm not going to give you that, but I'll say any brand that any brand that has levels that address different segments of their base, for clients from a base loyalty program to tiers with added value, subscription program add-ons, you name it.
Okay. What profession other than the one you're currently in would you like to attempt?
I'm enthralled with Bob's Burgers. I would love to own a little burger joint. That'd be fun.
Who inspired you to be the person you are today?
My extended family and my closest friends.
How do you want to be remembered by your friends and family?
Well, hopefully as somebody who's generous and is always there for them when they need me to be.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Tom, for those quick fire rapid response questions. And thanks to both Tom and Katie for taking the time to share a little bit with us about what they're seeing in regard to customer and channel loyalty, where it's going in 2024. It's great to have the insight from two proven market leaders, and it's always great to catch up with the team at Phaedon. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you and the entire Loyalty360 organization.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you join us again for another edition of Loyalty Live soon, and look forward to seeing you in 2024.